This week on the Digital Marketing Scoop, we're talking with Shauna Doyle all about building your personal brand in the influencer space. Shauna, very welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
So you're Instagrammer, YouTuber, blogger, and overall influencer in Cork. Mm-hmm. Tell us a bit about it and how you got into it.
So I always kind of loved the whole idea of it. I was more kind of like into YouTube when I was younger, you know, like watching like Gen X Pen and all the Australian kind of YouTubers and stuff. And I always wanted to get into it. And I remember even when I was really young, my dad got me like a tripod and a camera, and I used to do like stop motion music videos. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He'd like take loads of pictures and put music behind them, if I'm thinking back on it now. But I used to put them up, and thought I was so cool. But then after a while, I just got into more Instagram as that took off, just putting up like really organic posts like out for the days. And then when I got my job in Mac, we had to do like really themed makeup depending on what it was. So like St. Patrick's Day, you'd have all green makeup on, and I started in May, so it was around festival season. So like Thursdays and Tuesdays we do like themed days, so I would just pop up pictures of the mad makeup that you spent hours doing, and then it kind of just took off from there. The main thing that got me spiraling was the day the So Sue Me Tan came out. I literally forced my dad to go get it for me because I was in college, and I was like, go down. I literally had rang Macaulay's and I was like, save me one. So he went down and picked it up, and they sold out in literally a day, and I was like one of the first people to put up a review. So literally the second I got it, I literally ran home from college and like was putting it on, doing a review, and then her team got on to me. It was just like, we loved your review, it was one of the first ones that was up, we'd love to send you some product. And then I just kind of started building a relationship with them and other brands, and
Wow. And before that, the tan basically, had you done much before that?
No, nothing at all.
So that really like jump started
I wouldn't
kind of
have
everything.
even considered myself a blogger before that. And even when I did start getting sent stuff from them, I was still like, this could just be like a fluke. You know what I mean? I didn't know if it was actually going to take off. But no, after that I was really lucky. I started reaching out to more brands, and slowly but surely they started saying, oh yeah, we can give you like some things for gifting for reviews or like discount codes and stuff. And I started doing more giveaways, and then my page just started growing, and I was really lucky. I had actually like spiked really fast. It went from like 2,000 to 5,000 in like 3 months or something, which was good going.
Yeah.
And I got nominated for one of the best newcomer bloggers in Ireland as well in that 5 or 6
Brilliant.
months. Yeah, so that was insane. And then after that, it just kept going. And then I went full time in July. So
brilliant. Fair play.
it was fast. Yeah.
That's amazing though, how like one post one day that triggers everything
definitely.
from there.
And like there's been other things in the meantime obviously that have led to different things, but that's kind of like the one that stands out in my head the most. So I have my dad to thank. I actually did an interview with RSVP, and they had the headline as Cork blogger thanks her dad for her career, and he's just delighted with that now. He's like, all my chauffeuring is paid off. Yeah. I'm such a daddy's girl, as like I say, everyone knows that. Like, he's like the only thing I talk about on my stories. The other day I walked in, you probably know I'm obsessed with David Dobrik, the YouTuber, and I walked into the living room and he was like typing it into the Apple TV, being like, David Dobrik vlogs, and I actually couldn't even contain myself. I was like, we're definitely turning into the same person.
Brilliant.
Dad, thank for everything.
Fair play to Dad.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's fair to say at the moment you're building a personal brand.
Yeah, that's it.
And do you find much of a difference between that and building, let's say, a company brand or a business brand?
Definitely. Like I was only saying a while ago that we did a seminar last night in college on like PR and stuff, and Up She Rises, you know, Virginia was there, and she was talking about how like she was someone else's brand for so long doing Brandwagon, and now it's like her own face as like Up She Rises. And I think that's so like relatable for me. Like I think it would be, you can put yourself out there more if you're like hiding behind something nearly, but when it's like so intertwined with your personal life, I suppose it can be a little bit harder. But at the same time, I actually like that because you don't have to like follow any script or like put up a persona. You can just be yourself, which can be good and bad, I suppose. Sometimes, like I'd say sometimes I put up things that are way too personal, but I like just being able to be myself and putting myself out there as me, as opposed to on behalf of someone else's like company or something.
And it comes across much more authentic as well.
Yeah, and even though I'm studying PR, like I always say, like I'm never going want to end up working for someone else. Like once you start working for yourself at such a young age, like it's in my genes. My dad worked for himself since he was 17. Like, so I have a lot to keep up with now. I have like 50 years left of work in me. So I'm just so happy that I'm like given these opportunities. Like I always say whenever I'm interviewed, like there's not many people who are like in the same range followers wise as me who are capable of doing it full time, because it's just so hard. It's such an like unstable, unsecure kind of industry. No one really knows where it's going, so it's obviously a lot easier when you're a big name with big followers. So I'm really lucky that brands did see potential in me like day one, and I think I'm just so eager as well. I have a lot of drive, like I'm pestering people constantly with emails, like following up on everything. And I think that comes across as well because I actually do love it so much, and it's not just for the like free stuff or let's say the fame or whatever, because I don't see it as that at all. Like even when people say influencer, I literally never see myself as like an influencer. I just see it more as like someone who creates content and puts it out there and hopes for the best, you know. So everything's going well.
Have you jumped into TikTok yet actually?
Yeah, I have, but just kind of for fun, not for like I share some of them onto my Instagram, but they're mostly just funny ones. Like I don't think I'd ever be doing like a brand collab on TikTok. Well, you never know.
You never know.
It seems to be really taking off. But no, Instagram's my main one. But I'm actually hoping YouTube will turn into my main one, because I actually prefer YouTube. It's hard to kind of get people to move over, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
to create a whole new audience nearly.
But the great thing with YouTube is the long form content. You can tell stories and do longer product reviews. There's so much you can do with it. And of course, you can monetize on it as well. So there's actually
even though monetization now on YouTube, you'll be lucky to have €2 by the end of the year. Like.
It'd be interesting to see. We were discussing it in last week's podcast with IGTV monetizing, because that'll be
because even as someone who does it as their full-time job, you're relying on, let's say, your brand collabs. Like I make way more like free content as opposed to paid content, you know. So I think it would be a really great kind of initiative for Instagram to have like even let's say you're €2 a year, but it still gives you a bit of motivation.
It's your incentive then to create long form content on the platform too.
Because like it can be really hard, like filming one video after the other and having to put them up and kind of getting nothing back. But
and it's the editing and everything that goes into it as well.
But I actually, that's what I like about it. I think that's why I prefer YouTube. I think it's way more fulfilling seeing something done and edited after spending ages doing it. Whereas like I don't even think of like throwing up stories as like a job. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like having a chat. Whereas with YouTube, when I do YouTube, I like have my little setup like this, and I sit down and have more of a plan. But it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, especially when you're doing a master's as well. But at least I'll be nearly done that soon.
In terms of starting up and putting yourself out there, did you have reservations against that, or did it just kind of come naturally to you? And I think that is a big barrier for a lot of people, is they might have these great ideas, they might have a business already, but they're just kind of afraid to put themselves out there. Do you have any advice for them on that?
I definitely have advice. I never had the fear, thank God. I think, I suppose, as you get bigger, it might come with that. Like, you know, when there's more eyes watching, it might give you a little bit of a fear. And obviously, as you get bigger as well, maybe, I actually don't know, but I presume maybe brands have guidelines being like, you can't say this, you can't do that. But for me, I just like do whatever I want, say whatever I want, and I think the people who want to see that will stay. And if they don't like me for being, let's say, me, then I don't want them to follow me anyway. And the same with brands. Like I don't only want to work with brands that would like me for what I do naturally. Like if they were saying, oh, we're not going to work with you unless you stop doing that or stop saying that, then it's just not a right match, you know. And I think as a blogger or an influencer, your main, let's say, job is to create content that will benefit everyone. You know, that there's no point in doing things if your audience isn't going to like it. Like they're your main like stakeholder, I suppose you could say. And how have you found working with brands so far? Are they giving you kind of leeway to do what you want to do? They're not 100%, which is great, because that's the whole fun of it, is being creative and getting to use your imagination. Like, should there be no fun or creativity or anything needed if a brand just said, say this, do this, you know? So it's coming up with the ideas is the fun part, and actually putting it into action. So I'm really lucky that way.
And the other thing as well is that we've said it before as well, with it probably won't work for the brand if they don't give you that creative freedom, because your audience
sometimes
knows.
Of course now there'd be like a brief or something, like the idea that they're trying to focus on, but more likely than not they're always going to say, we trust your creative opinion, work away. And then of course you have to send them over for approval and stuff and whatever else. But no, I've been really lucky, especially Smooch is one of my favorite brands to work with. I've been working with them since last summer, and like we do really, really fun things. Like they give me so much like room for freedom. Like I even started doing YouTube with them, which is great because I said straight out to them, I was like, I really want to focus on YouTube. And like they, even though I don't have a lot of followers over there, they were like, yeah, work away, like we trust you and stuff. And I have a really great relationship with them, so that's really good as well. And I like how we don't have to always like focus on ice cream, even though it's an ice cream brand. Like they give me just like kind of ideas, and then we work really well together. So yeah,
that's really good. I just think
one of my favorites to work with, just because they do give me that like so much creativity.
Yeah, I think if as well, like if you put up a post that was branded and was really heavily influenced by the brand, the people would likely scroll past it, maybe not even for a second realize it was you, do you know?
Definitely.
And just kind of just looks like an ad.
People don't like ads, screaming ads, you know what I mean? And I think that's why influencer marketing probably does work better than like TV ads, because I even know myself, I like skip through them or go out to get like something from the kitchen, whereas like even if I see ad on one of my favorite bloggers posts, I'll read through it because I'm like, they're similar to me, they've similar interests. You can kind of relate to it a bit more. And obviously everyone needs to make a living at the end of the day. I know there's like pros and cons of people doing ads, but it's a job, you know, at the end of the day. And everyone, there's ads on radio, there's ads on podcasts, you know, so it's just part of it, I suppose. And I think once you're staying true to your brand and your audience, there's not an issue with it.
That's the thing, like that's
things
the difference
that you'd actually use anyway. And I always do that. Like if someone gets onto me, I'll use it 100 times over and make sure I like it, just because you don't want to be the one responsible either, you know. It falls back on you either way. There's no benefit in promoting something just for money. It shows through and you end up losing out in the long run. So
that's
the better off being true.
How is the influencer space in Cork at the moment? Is there a lot of people, how can I put it? Is it growing basically, do you think, in
definitely.
terms of, and people are getting more attention from brands?
Cork is always going to be smaller because Dublin is like the most saturated place, you know. I'd love to move to Dublin in the future just because I miss out on so many events, and events is the most important thing about blogging. Is networking, making friends in the industry, making friends with PR agency brands, just putting yourself out there and pitching yourself in real life, so they can see what you're actually like, you know. And Dublin's good for that. Like I'm going to Dublin tomorrow actually, but it's just so hard that I do miss out on things because obviously you can't go up to Dublin for half an hour breakfast lunch or something, you know. But no, Cork is definitely getting there. There's not a huge amount of people doing it, but it's starting off. I see a lot of people who are like sparking, do you know what I mean, who have like an interest in it and are putting themselves out there. A lot of makeup artists now and like people interested in fashion, which is great. And there's actually some events coming to Cork as well. Like I was at a publicity loft one now last week, and they came to Cork and there was a good group of about 15 of us there. So
all influencers or
from Cork. And like that wasn't even everyone, that was just there was 2 girls from Kerry, but there's definitely a growth there. Same with like Limerick and Galway, it's definitely taking off. I think Dublin will just always be the main, but that's always going to be the case.
It's nearly in every industry you'd see that.
Not. Over time, Cork will overtake.
I know. At least it's not too far away, like when you do have to go up and down. But like I said, I just miss out on so much, especially coming up to Christmas. There's like Christmas parties on, and I'm like, I can't keep going up and down. I have to learn to drive, but still, I drive all the way up just to go to something. And even though I always try like a few things into one day, like I remember one time I had something on at like 9 o'clock in the morning in Dublin and something else on at 8, so I just went up and spent the whole day there just to go to one in the morning and one at night, and I only got to go to the one in the evening for like 20 minutes because I was going to miss the last train. But it's all those like things that really count, and like brands and PR agencies really appreciate it, and they notice that you're making like your effort, you know. And I think there's a lot of like grind and kind of graft. Like I remember during Christmas when all my friends were like going back to college and stuff, like we had a few extra weeks off, like I was just like staying up so late, like sending out emails before the new year came in, just like introducing myself and saying loved working with you last year and stuff. So it's a huge like admin kind of job as well. Like I think a lot of people think it's super glam, but there's so much behind it. Like my dad sent me the dreaded, you need to go to your accountant next week to text now the other day. So there's all that in it as well, you know. It's literally like running a one-woman business, so it's hard that way.
That's the thing, people just don't see the behind the scenes.
That's one thing I always say is when people say it's not a real job, that's the one thing that just pisses me off so much, because they don't see like sure, I didn't start making money out of blogging until about a year in, like, you know, and even though that's fast compared to, I suppose, in the whole industry thing, like, you start off very, very minimum, you know. And that's why I'm so lucky to be able to make my full-time job. Like, bear in mind I live at home now, I have barely no bills thanks to my dad. But like it's not a possibility for everyone, you know. And if I would had to pay like my college fees and live out of home or had kids or something like that, wouldn't be a possibility. Like it's really, really hard. So it's amazing when people can do it full time, you know.
Yeah, and it's amazing there that you said as well about it did take a year before you were able to even start monetizing on it. And it's about that you were able to stay consistent for that year, because that is, there is a little bit of a sadness to that as well, you know, that
I
when at the start,
on YouTube with that, because that's one thing that people always ask. It's when you feel like you're getting somewhere, but you don't think it's kind of like, I always call it like nearly a bump that you have to get over. It's like you're kind of doing something, but you're kind of not. People are kind of like, who does she think she is? But like brands are kind of getting onto you. So I think once you get over that, you can definitely, you just have to keep the motivation, but you can lose motivation very easily. Like the amount of times you get turned down are way more than the amount of times that you don't, you know, and a lot of things fail or don't happen or fall through. And it's just about like, you know, keeping positive head, I suppose. Yeah.
I remember I was doing a training course before in a previous role, and it was a sales guy, and he said what he had is a sheet, and his goal was to get to the 100 no's. Yeah. So that, because if he got 100 no's, he'd probably get 2 or 3 yeses. The goal was the 100 no's. But
yeah, that's 100% a huge part of it, and you just have to like not take it personally. Like sometimes they just don't have an opportunity for you or don't have budget left, and I think even if you can take the opportunity that you're after introducing yourself, come back again maybe in a few months or the year after, and just kind of keep note of everything, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
If there's some brands out there listening and they haven't started in the influencer marketing space,
if they haven't worked with you yet, my name is Shauna Doyle.
That's at the end. But if they want to get started just in the influencer space, so from whether it's on their end, tracking it, monetizing it, how you would show them the results, that kind of thing. What kind of advice would you have for them to kind of, I suppose, dip their toe into that side of things initially?
I think affiliate kind of programs or links are your best way, because you're only giving away, let's say, a commission when you're benefiting. So it's not like a flat fee where even if you get no sales back, you're after losing out on whatever they're after charging. So with an affiliate program or affiliate link, you'd only give a commission when you're after kind of gaining yourself. So you could give it away. Of course, it depends on like the margin of the business. Like sometimes things are 1%, sometimes you could get a decent amount. But I think that's definitely the best way to like dip your foot in, or like affiliate codes as well. Or even if you didn't have budget to do affiliate codes, even just a normal code, so you can track like the followers would get discount, but the blogger themselves doesn't get anything out of it. It's a really good way of like tracking who's the most active, who's the most engaged, and you can kind of follow up on it that way. And then obviously as your business grows and you have more budget, if influencer marketing is something you want to get into, then you can look into like maybe brand ambassadorships or flat fees and stuff. Because I find as well, the reason I like having like brand ambassadorships and monthly rolling things like smooches, it's like really authentic. It's something that I love. Whereas sometimes it once off posts, even if it's something I love and I'll use it organically loads after, it can still look a little bit like, oh, but it was only kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's not the consistency with it.
Yeah, when there's consistency there and people know that you're always using it, even when there's not a hashtag ad there, that's what I love the most. Yeah. So,
and that's the thing, I suppose, when you're working with a brand long term like that, without even knowing it, you'll end up talking about the brand because you have to be using it or whatever.
I think it's really important to nearly love them organically first, even before you talk about even doing affiliate things, just because it's beneficial for everyone. There's no point in putting a plan together and say, let's work together, and no one's ever heard of them before. The brand has never done influencer marketing before. The blogger's never worked with the brand. The audience never heard of it. It just comes across really kind of like forced, you know. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It's again, like I said, it's very unstable, it's very new, everyone's still testing it, you know. Like people in digital marketing don't know 100% what's working, what's not working as of yet. Bloggers don't know, you know. It's just about trying and testing, and I suppose we're so lucky that there is a huge way of checking metrics and analytics that it's a little bit easier to track it and trace it and stuff, you know.
And just on that's a great thing for brands to get started with, is actually keeping an eye on who is already talking about their products, because those people are likely the best people to get in touch with as well.
100%. I think that's why press drops and stuff work so well, because you could get like, I don't know, 20 persons a week, let's say, and if you post about one and you love it so much, they're going to keep an eye on you, as opposed to the one that you didn't open on for a week later, you know. So it's about like creating those relationships early and like being appreciative of everything. Like, of course there's a lot of perks that come with it, along with all, let's say there's a lot of slating. I'm lucky I don't get that much, but like there's a lot of negative things that come up putting yourself out there. So you have to kind of be grateful for the perks, but just like survive the negatives as well, you know.
Yeah, that can be a hard part of anyone. That's probably the biggest fear of anyone going and putting themselves out there as well.
You just have to have a really tough skin if you are going to put yourself out there. But I think after all the tragedies and things that have happened the past few weeks and months and stuff, that people are starting to cop on. I know, you know, Sabrina Hill from Copper, she's doing a really great kind of campaign herself called Be Accountable. So every week she's sharing, or every day she's sharing like 3 positive accounts and telling people to follow them, because obviously with the algorithm on Instagram, if you're engaging with negative content or part of those anonymous groups, you're actually giving them more fuel and more hype, whereas if you're completely ignoring them and engaging with positive accounts, they're going to outweigh the negative, which is, I don't know how it took so long to come up with this idea, but literally the second that she said it, I was like, yes, this is actually making such a big difference. So she's flying. She'd be a great person to get actually in on the podcast as well.
We'll jot that down.
No, she's brilliant. She's really, really great. She talks a lot of like wisdom.
Because the last not today's episode, last week's episode was with Shan Horn, and she said the exact same thing. She was like, all she interacts with on social media is positive, and all she sees is positive. And that makes a huge difference to even someone who, because a lot of people would struggle with social media as well, they don't like to go on it, and affects people's anxiety and stuff as well. But a lot of it is back to that again, that whole point of
I think that
positivity.
there definitely needs to be like more laws or something's actually there to hold people accountable, because like when those anonymous accounts were up and running, like it was ridiculous. Like people were really getting a bad doing, and like it's one thing slating someone who's putting themselves out there, but like people's like partners and kids and families, you know, it's just like there's a
it's
line
too far.
Cross. There's things that were said, and I tried not to look at it, but like you can only try so much. And when people are sending things to you, I was lucky there was only 1 or 2 not major things said about me, but like I've seen things really bad be said, and like it affects people as much as like you want to say it doesn't. It does subconsciously nearly. And like even though, to be honest, I'd never really got upset about any of them, it's still kind of like, oh, like, do you know what I mean? Why would someone go out of their way and spend their time to type something? So at least they're gone for now anyway. For now.
So, Shauna, if anyone's out there, they're maybe a small business or a bigger business or an individual, and they're like, okay, we need to put a face to our brand, maybe. What tip, like a couple of tips to get them started, maybe just to get them over the line and get them going. What would you advise them?
Like face of their brand, as in like to put a blogger with it, or just kind of like a branding?
As in for themselves. So we'll say if someone owns a business, but they're doing all their social media content, we'll say is they're just
graphics
pushing out sales
graphics.
To put themselves out there as an individual, we'll say as the face of the company. What kind of advice would you have?
Yeah, definitely. We talk a lot about that in college as well. Actually, you know Stephen Ryan. He's brilliant.
He's been on.
He's one of my favorite lecturers. He's brilliant. But he was talking before about like how it's so important to literally for your employees to get involved, like do meet the team stories, kind of talk about what they do, and like people coming on and just going through the day. And Pamela Kiley does that really well for Johnson and Perrott, isn't it?
Yes, she does.
She's brilliant at that. Like, and even though I know nothing about cars whatsoever, like if I see her, I'll still like watch it because she's just so good. Like she's like a little presenter. So I think definitely having like your employees involved, just showing a bit of fun too. I think that sometimes corporate businesses or like big businesses think that they have to like be shirt and tie and like super serious and can't have fun, whereas people actually engage better seeing like a little bit of fun and the employees getting to be involved. So I think definitely use what you have as opposed to outsourcing, you know. Like your employees know the most about your brand and are probably the most passionate about it, so definitely putting them as the face of the brand I think is a good call. It's not cost you anything extra either. And like they know the most about it as well, you know. They have the training and everything, so it's just about getting over the fear of talking to the camera. I think it's way less intimidating talking to your phone though, as opposed to like cameras. Like even when I do
people say that.
Even when like I do YouTube videos, like I have no bother setting it up like that at home, but like I'll never walk through town with like my vlogging camera out, but then I'll walk through town no bother like talking to my phone because I think you think it could be like FaceTime or something. And I think people know when they see me, oh, that's Shauna doing her stories. Like even I won't even hold my phone, let's say like this way to do a vlog. So my YouTube content is lacking that way. So I'm going to just have to bite the bullet now and get over the fear. Even when I was in New York and Dublin though, I'll take out my camera, no bother. But in Cork, sometimes a bit like,
the cameras like I don't even look directly at them. And we're like 40-watt episodes in. But like that, sometimes it's just about
I think
doing
everyone is actually so like okay with talking to their phones now. It's really like you get over the fear.
Second nature almost.
Like even if you're not putting up stories, it's again FaceTime or talking to your private Instagram or private Snapchat story or something. This is so faster as well. Like I have no patience for typing anymore and like constantly sending voice notes or like I know it's just quicker.
I even find like walking down the street with AirPods, if I have a hat on, if someone can't see the AirPods and the phone's in my pocket, I'm like, people
think you're
think I'm
talking
an
to
insane
yourself.
person.
That looks
Like,
even worse than talking to your phone.
and then I take out the phone to make it look like
this is what I'm doing, and then it's completely losing the fact that AirPods are wireless.
Defeated the purpose.
I know.
Fantastic. So Shauna, if there's any brands out there listening and they want to get in touch with you, where's the best place to get in touch?
Instagram is where you can like see what I do, I suppose, and a bit of YouTube as well. Don't check out my TikTok because that's just that's just funny. No one will ever want to work with me if they see my TikToks. It's so funny though. Again, my dad, I sent him the PG ones. There's some now that are, but like probably they shouldn't show my dad. But I have some funny ones and I always send them to him on like WhatsApp. And I remember again, I was just in the house one day and I saw him like watching them. He's like my biggest fan. It's very cute. But it, like he's probably only jumping on the bandwagon now, hoping that in a few years' time that he'll get like a car off me or something.
He's probably doing TikTok dances already.
I know. I was like, Dad, please do one with me. We'll go viral and split the money. No. But my email address for like inquiries is shaunadoyleblog@gmail.com. But if you just want to have a look at all my stuff, YouTube or Instagram is probably the best place to find me.
Perfect. And I'll have those in the show notes for anyone listening.
Fab. Thanks so much.
Shauna, thanks so much for doing the podcast.
Thanks so much. That was so fast, wasn't it? It's like I have so much more to say. I'll never stop talking.
We'll keep that in. I'll do the outro now so we actually will. That's been this week's episode of the Digital Marketing Scoop.
Woo! Fun.
Brilliant.
Thanks so much, guys.